Animated movies are real movies. That's number one. Number two, DC animated movies are the best comic book animated movies that get made. Number three, this movie is probably the best one that they've ever done. And number four, I never want to see it again. So, how could a movie be good and people still say, oh, I never want to see it again? Well, let's get into it a bit, okay? So, we look at movies that are called dark. Batman v Superman is dark. This is true, but it's not true. It was dark, it was gritty, it was realistic, but in most cases, I would more likely call it joyless than I would call it dark. Man of Steel, the reboot, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. It was called dark. I understand the using of that word there, but it was more like, it's not fun. It's not a fun superhero movie, especially with everything else that was coming out at that time and the Marvel stuff that was coming out. People wanted to have fun with their superheroes. Well, DC animated stuff has always been the best animated movies, in my opinion, far better than anything animated that Marvel does. This movie, Justice League Dark Apokolips War, is probably the darkest that I've ever seen. We've seen characters lose the battle before, Avengers Infinity War. We've seen people, some of our favorite heroes die on screen, Avengers Endgame. This was that on another level to me, because even though it's animated, you saw your favorite characters. You see Aquaman ripped in half. They ripped Black Manta into two pieces. They eat Bane. You see Mera, like they literally chopped her face in half. They cut off Wonder Woman's arm. They burned Robin alive, like he's toasted. They stabbed Nightwing in the chest, and they show it, and it's rough looking. I can't say that like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch this. My friend who recommended this to me watched this thing 8 times, or at least parts of it 8 times. And I'm like, dog, I can't look at this again. This is hard to see. Like Starfire was shown ripped in half, body just on the ground. It's like, man, I don't want to see this again. You know, this is your favorite characters. You imagine like, okay, you know, Avengers, Black Widow died. Well, Black Widow was not the biggest person in that movie. Like Tony Stark died, but he died saving everybody, and that was rough to see in the theaters when it first happened. But still, he didn't get stabbed in the chest and like hoisted and then tossed aside. Like he didn't get lifted over the villain's head and literally ripped into 2 pieces and just tossed aside like he was nothing. That type of stuff in this movie happens throughout the movie. It's just hard to see your favorite characters lose over and over and over again. Watching this one, again, I would say it's great, but there is one prerequisite. I was not told by anybody, but you kind of need to go back to 2017 Justice League Dark with John Constantine, the character, Batman, Swamp Thing, Etrigan. You get to see those characters in Justice League Dark. If you watch those 2, Justice League Dark and then Justice League Dark Apokolips War, it's a very good double feature. That's actually how I watched it, because I normally watch all the DC animated films, but I missed that one. So I went back, watched that one, and then finished up with this one. The storytelling was masterful, especially the way that they took Flashpoint movie and tied it in directly to this and made so many things in the DC animated universe make sense. And they basically rebooted the whole DC animated universe. It was very cool, the way they did that, and it's very satisfying ending to the film, not giving everything away, but still very, very satisfying. And as the overall film, it's just not something I want to see again, because again, you see throughout the movie all your favorite heroes get toasted, like they get killed. I will say the consistency in the writing of the character of Batman is amazing, because no matter what show you watch, whether it's Batman the animated series or it's a video game that you're playing where, like Injustice, Batman is Batman, kind of dropped the ball on the Justice League movie. I say kinda, they really dropped the ball on the Justice League movie. They wrote Batman badly there. But in the DC animated universe, Batman has been consistently the person with a plan. If you ever watch How It Should Have Ended, the Because I'm Batman, like they did the Because I'm Batman in this movie here. basically he thought of everything, and he had a contingency for losing, just like he always does. That was cool to see. I won't go into much details about how things worked out, but I will say that the Flashpoint movie that I referenced, beautiful tie-in, wonderful way to end it, especially with the way things ended, because while they kind of won, they also was stuck in a real bad place. So again, I encourage people to go watch that, check that thing out. That thing was great. I really enjoyed it, and I have to say that although it was probably the best DC animated movie that I've seen, I can't make myself sit down and watch it again. Christian worldview perspective, there's cursing in here, and it's a lot more noticeable here than in the others, if there's any in the other DC animated movies. I will also say, again, the blood and guts is very prominent throughout. I feel like they earned it. The stakes were very high throughout the film, and it made sense that these characters would be cursing and it would be no holds barred type attitude, because look at what's going on. Everybody's dead. Anyway, don't want to go give everything away. If you haven't seen it, sorry if I spoiled it, but please go back, take a look at it. Do yourself a favor, watch it as a double feature with Justice League Dark, and then Justice League Dark Apokolips War. It's something that you could kind of have on in the background, but you don't want to have too much of Apocalypse War on, because again, the blood, the guts, and the cursing is mild, but it's there, and it's not the most. I wasn't the most comfortable having it playing with kids around and stuff. So just be aware. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Come back and see me.